that application, the front end that you see in the local host, and then the functionality that it calls behind the scenes, which is in create a LOIDV shell script. So let's just quickly look at the create a LOIDV shell script. This is not part of today's hands-on. This is just while the deployment is going on. I want to show to you how the configuration works, so that if you want to do something like this in your own automation requirements, feel free to do it. So in the create a LOIDV.sh, what we are doing is we are basically defining the arguments. If you notice, we are hard coding the VPC names so that each time you don't, because it's mostly used, this kind of an automated setup will only be used in a development environment, right? Or maybe staging. When it goes to production, you can automate this and you can use the VPC, but at that point, you can, of course, go back and change the code to a VPC name that's more accepted by your or whoever authorizes that, right? So we have hard coded VPC name, subnet name, PSA range name. So as no matter how many projects you create, it will retain the VPC because all your demo projects can run on one VPC, right? Why do you need to create multiple? So that's the goal. We have hard coded VPC, subnet, and PSA range, and we have done all the steps that you would have to have, that you would have had to explore and learn and have done separately if we did not have this tool, which is set up the project, enable the APIs, which we did anyway. This is just for awareness. I made you do it, but it's all covered as part of the automation. And then setting the VPC, we would have had to do it manually, but here we didn't have to do it manually because the automation takes care of it. The accelerator takes care of it for you. And then you will have to set up the subnet. You will have to set up the private services access. You will have to find the code for creating the cluster. And then this part is the code for creating instance. And finally, once everything is done, it just says deployment is complete. So that's pretty much it. That's what happens behind the scenes when you trigger an AlloyDB configuration from this front end. Still, the instance is not created. So I'm going to wait and shut up for some time. Yeah, it will take some time. Aparna, what do you mean by deployment got stuck? Can you ping? Can you expand your issue? take a second to show getting private IP, and then it is listing my host, port, database name, username, password, which I know. We all know what password we set up. It's AlloyDB, all small. And then it gives my cluster name, instance name, region name, and project ID. So all I've done is I don't have to do anything. Just click the reveal private IP and copy button from the summary tab. By default, it will copy everything you need. And I'm going to paste it aside in some notepad so that I can always come back and refer to it in the application. That's it. So now my AlloyDB setup is complete. Okay, if you can see my screen right now, um, my AlloyDB setup is all complete. Yeah, so I have my instance and everything ready. I'm not going to scroll down, but it should be, I'll go to logs though. Logs, as you can see right here, it says deployment complete and instance created. Everything is done. So that's pretty much it. I have all the details. Now we'll have to go to the application focus for today's session. But before we go, show of thumbs, how many of you got your instance created? Instance created. Were you able to successfully copy the IP address and all the details, the reveal IP thing? Perfect. Okay. Don't worry about it. If you encounter some error here, like blocker, there are a few things that you probably may have missed. You're not probably in the project where AlloyDB is already, the run AlloyDB shell script while you're running the sh or you missed some of the steps that we are discussing while we were discussing it. It's highly possible. Code Lab has all these steps. Not a single step is missed in the Code Lab from what we did today. So don't worry about it at all. It's all there in the Code Lab. Go back to your Code Lab and follow those steps until this point. Yeah. Maybe I'll give it another minute so you can go back and follow. But still, instance creation will take some time. If you're not in the instance creation step already, it is going to take 15 minutes from then. So there's no point of waiting. However, for folks whose instance is still under creation, I'll give you one more minute before we to the next big step of the session. For folks who got stuck in one of the previous steps, even in the database setup, not even in the application setup, don't worry, you can every single step that we did today is listed in the Code Lab. You may have missed some nuance in probably why you're facing errors. Otherwise, it should not happen. Or maybe your internet is wonky and resulted in your network error and stuff like that. So give it some time and try it from the lab at your own pace when you're not in a meeting, right? So you can always come back to the step. The lab is with you. It's going to take very less time if you follow the Code Lab step by step, because you already know in this session what you're doing. You won't be lost. Okay, so a minute is up. So now we have completed the database setup step. We have our instance. If you have any issues, you also have the troubleshooting steps listed here. All right. Make sure you go back and check here, depending on whatever error you have encountered. Read the error message for God's sake, and make sure Gemini app, the gemini.google.com is open on another tab, so that if you don't understand the error, you can always ask Gemini to explain it for you or guide you in how to solve it. Right? It's very easy these days. And then if you're not able to solve it, you can go back to Gotchas and troubleshooting and see. I mean, once you understand what Gemini is saying about your error, you can come back and see the list of troubleshooting elements here and see if it matches any of the listed issues, and then you can try and fix it based on the solutions provided here. All right. Moving on to next step, schema provisioning. Why? Because in order for building this application, we need the table. We have only created the database so far. We need the table, we need the data, and then only we can create embeddings, right? So before we go there, we need to access the instance that we've just created and go into the AlloyDB's studio where you can write queries. All right. So how will you go there? Go back to the Google Cloud Console where you had your this thing open. Your Cloud Shell terminal open or whatever open. Just slide this down or open another separate Google Cloud Console. In the same tab, log into the same email account where your Google Cloud is logged in. So do console.cloud.google.com, and once it comes to the Google Cloud Console landing page, in the search bar, type AlloyDB, and in the result you'll see AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. Click that. It'll take a second and it'll land on AlloyDB's, what is that? AlloyDB's landing page or console. Once you're in AlloyDB's console, as you can see in my screen right now, it will show you all the clusters you have in case you have more than one cluster. So I'm going to go to the cluster that I can use the one that I just created too, right? Let me just go back there. The one that I just created. Don't click the cluster, click the instance. Once you click the instance, it will show all the details. However, slide left and open the navigation menu. You can see AlloyDB Studio right below overview menu item. So click AlloyDB Studio menu item from the primary cluster listing. Once you click AlloyDB Studio, it will show a dialog asking you to log into your database. So enter your database name, which is Postgres. By default, it will show that. And then enter your password. Make sure built-in database authentication is chosen. Choose user as Postgres. Enter password, AlloyDB all small, unless you change your password. And then click Authenticate. It will take a second. Authentication successful. It has now navigated me inside the Explorer or the AlloyDB Studio. Click Untitled Query tab on the right-hand pane, and you can see the editor where you can write queries. On the left side Explorer pane, you see schema, and you see public tables, 0. We have not created any yet. So make sure you're in this particular console and this particular stage right now. Show of thumbs. How many of you got to this point? Praveen, please follow the lab. You will get your instance might be taking time, or you might have encountered an issue. Just follow the lab step by step without distraction. You'll be able to get here. Cool. Thanks for confirming. Go back to the lab. Go to step number 4, schema provisioning. So if you see the graphic right there, it shows what we are covering in this step. We are covering enabling AI extensions. Why? We are going to use vector search and embeddings from Vertex AI's embeddings model. You can use either Gemini embeddings model or the text embedding 005 model. We are going to use the latter, the text embedding 005 model. I think that's what we are going to use. Yeah, I have to see what I've used in this project. So we'll enable in order to do that, just like Postgres, here also you need to enable the extension before using it. Second thing, you have to provision schema and data. I've already established that you have to create a table, you need to insert data, because only then you can convert the data into embeddings, whichever data you want to convert to embeddings, and then you can perform contextual search on it using it. Third one, configure permissions. So you need to give AlloyDB the permission to access Vertex AI, right? So, and also to read and run embeddings and all those things on the data. So you need to configure permissions. So these are the 3 things we are going to do in this particular schema provisioning step. And maybe we'll also insert data, create table and insert data also in the step. So let's see how to do it. We're already in AlloyDB Studio. We have logged in, scroll down, go to enable extensions section. There is a code snippet, SQL snippet there. It says create extension, Google ML integration. This tells AlloyDB that you're going to enable this extension if not already enabled, right? Because AlloyDB, you're going to talk to Vertex AI or ML, Google ML. That's what we